Alright guys, sorry I ran out of time on that last recording, so I'm just going to quickly go through these and show you what we could do to solve them. Right here we have our exponent of 4, so I want you to think about making everything right here 4 times bigger, making it 4 place value spaces bigger. So we have 2.16, but we want to take all those places and move them so that they become 4 times larger. So my 6 was right here in the 10th place, but we're going to take it and move it 4 spaces to the left to make it bigger. So 1, 2, 3, 4. My 6 is now in the 100th place. My 1 was in the 10th place right here. We're going to move it 1, 2, 3, 4. My 2 was in the 1st place right here. We're also going to move it 4 places. 1, 2, 3, 4. So here's my decimal. I have this empty space right here and right here. We need to fill both of those in with 0. Because 10 to the 4th power is like taking this number and multiplying it by 10,000. So that's going to make this number a lot bigger. I'm sorry guys, that should be a 1. And not a 4. You have to forgive my early morning brain this morning. There we go. Because our digits should stay the same. If I have a 2, a 1, and a 6 here, I should still have a 2, 1, and 6 in my answer as well. All right, we are dividing over here, so our value is getting smaller. Your answer should be smaller than what you started with. So we have 800. It's a whole number. I know my decimal's right there. And to make it smaller, we're going to move all these digits over 3 spaces. Why 3 spaces? Because that's my exponent. So my 0 is going to go to the right, because it's getting smaller, 3 places. 1, 2, 3. There's that 0. 1, 1, 2, 3. There's that 0 and my 8. 1, 2, 3. So from 800 to 800. 800,000. Okay. And right here, we're going to slide all of our digits over 2 places because my exponent is 2. We're sliding our digits to the right so that they become smaller. So here's my decimal. We're going to slide everything over 2 spaces. So my 2 was in the 10th place. We are now going to move it over 1, 2. It's going to land in the 1000th place. 10th, 100th, 1000th. My 4 is going to go to the 100th place. My 5 to the 10th place. And my 7 hops down to the 1st place. So 7 and 542,000. Alright, let's keep going. Alright, now we are doing conversions from meters, which is the larger measurement here, to centimeters. So from meters down to centimeters, we have to remember that there are 100 centimeters inside of every meter. So think of this as dividing it, think of it as multiplying it by 100. Because centimeters are smaller, so we're going to need more of them to make up our meters. If there's 100 centimeters in each meter, then that means I'm going to need 200 centimeters to give me 2 meters, okay? 40 millimeters to meters. Ooh, millimeters are even smaller. There are going to be 1,000 millimeters in every meter. So now, because we're going from our smaller measurement up to our larger measurement, we're going to need less of them. So if we have 40 millimeters, and we want to change it to meters, we are going to think of taking this number and making it 1,000 times smaller. So here's my 40. And we're going to slide everything down 3 spaces because 1,000 has 3 zeros. So 1, 2, 3. Boom. 1, 2, 3. And then there's my decimal. So I have 40,000. So it's going to take a lot of millimeters to give us 4 meters. All right. Now they want us to take this and express it. They're giving it us to in meters, and they want us to put it in centimeters. So a piece of fabric measures 3.9 meters. Meter is the larger measurement, so we're going to take it down to the smaller measurement, which is centimeters. And if you remember earlier, I told you centa is 100, so there are 100 centimeters in each meter. You can also think of this as taking this number and we want to multiply it, I'm sorry guys, by 100 because there are 100 centimeters in a meter. So 3.9 times 100. That's really the same thing as moving all these digits 2 spaces, okay? So I would take my 9 and move it over to the tens place. My 3 would go to the hundreds place. And then I fill in my empty space with a 0. So if I have 3.9 meters, I have 390 centimeters. Right here, if we have 4 centimeters, that's really small. And we want to take that and put it in meters. Well, think about it. I have a whole number. My decimal's right here at the end of my whole number. And I'm taking it and I want to go from the smaller value up to the larger value. So to do that, we're going to need way less of a meter to give me 4 centimeters. So our value is going to get smaller. So we're going to take it and instead of multiplying by 100, this time we're going to divide by 100. Sorry, it's not going to let me write it down there. I apologize, guys. My computer's acting a little bit crazy on this slide. So we have 4, and then my decimal's there. And this time, we want to divide it by 100. So we're taking our digits and going to the right 2 spaces because there's 2 zeros. So put my decimal back. And my 4 was right here in the ones place. But I need to move it 2 spaces to the right. So from the ones, we're going to go 1, 2, and it's going to land in the tenths place. And I'm going to fill my empty places in with zeros. So 4 centimeters is the same as 400ths of a meter. And that makes sense because centimeters are really small. So that's going to be really, really small inside of a meter. All right. Express 9,000ths as a decimal. So we know we're going to have a decimal in our answer. And I want 9 to be in the thousandths place. We have to memorize our place value. I have the tenths, don't have any tenths. I have my hundredths place, no hundredths. And finally, I want to stick my 9 in the thousandths place. This is my tenths place, supposed to be a T, my hundredths, and my thousandths place. Okay? Now it says express 29,000ths as a fraction. Well, let's look at this first part of the number. We know we're going to have 29. And they told us they want it to be thousandths. So all we're going to do, guys, is take that 29 and stick it on top of 1,000. Easy peasy. 29 thousandths written as a fraction. If we wanted to write it as a decimal, I would just need my 9 to land in the thousandths place. So I have no tenths. I know I need my 9 in the thousandths, so my 2 would go into the hundredths. This is how to write 29 thousandths as a decimal, but there it is as a fraction. Then it says express this number in words. Well, we're going to read it exactly like we would. 24. And remember, what word do we use every single time for the decimal? We're going to use the word and. 24 and 357,000. 24 and 357,000. And then it wanted us to write it in expanded form using fractions or decimals. So let's do it. We'll do it with decimals first. So I have 2 tens, and I know to put times 10 because my 2 is in the tens place. 2 times 10 gives me 20. Then I have a 4 in the ones place. So I'm going to put 4 times 1. I did times 1 because the 4 is in the ones place. Now we're crossing over into decimal world. The next digit I have is a 3. So 3 times, and that 3 is in the tenths place because the first place after the decimal is the tenths place. So I'm going to type 1/10. Remember, 0.1 is 1/10. The 1 is in the tenths place. The next digit I have is a 5, and the 5 is in the hundredths place. So I'm going to do 5 times 100 because my 5 is in the hundredths place. The last digit I have is a 7. So I'm going to do 7 times 1,000 because the 7 is in the thousandths place. So here it is in standard form, word form, and then expanded form using decimals. If we wanted to do this with using fractions, is that going to let me copy and paste it? Okay. If we wanted to do it doing fractions, it would be the same, except we would write these tenths, hundredths, and thousandths as a fraction. So we would still have 2 times 10, because we still have 2 tenths, plus 4 times 1, because there's a 4 in the ones place, plus, all right, now we have our 3 in the tenths place. But this time we're going to write the fraction 1/10, which is literally 1/10. That's what 1/10 looks like. Then we have our 5 in the hundredths place. So now we're going to write the fraction 1/100, because that is 100. Then we have our 7 in the thousandths place. So we're just going to write 1/1000. Sorry, I know that looks crazy. Let me fix it. And that's because we have our 7 in the thousandths place. So here we see expanded form written with decimals and then expanded form written with fractions. All right here we are comparing decimals. Remember, to compare decimals, I want you to stack them up. Put one on top of the other and always have your decimal in line. Always, always, always line up your decimal. Notice right here, I don't have anything here, so that's the same thing as having 0. When we stack up our decimals to see which one's bigger, we always start on the left side, the biggest place value side first. And we're going to go until we see 2 numbers that are not the same. So right now I have 1 and 1, that's the same. 6 and 6 is the same. 7 and 7 is the same. 4 and 4 is the same. Oop, right here. I have a 6 and a 0. What's bigger, guys? 6 or 0? Well, 6, right? So that must mean this one is bigger. Because so far everything has been the same, but it gets different right here in our hundredths place. This one has 0 hundredths, this one has 6 hundredths, so that is our bigger number. Same thing right here. We would line it up going place by place. I have a 3 and a 3, a 2 and a 2. We're going to keep going until we find a number that's different. A 7 and a 7. Oop, a 2 and a 3. What's bigger? 3 is. Remember, our alligator always wants to eat the larger number. So 32 and 735 thousandths is our biggest fraction. Decimal. Right here, they want us to put them in decreasing order. So that means we want to start with the largest and go down to the smallest. Well, they all have 76 in whole numbers. They all start with 76. So now let's look at our tenths place. I have a 3, a 3, a 2, and a 3. Oop, that's going to be my smallest. So we want to put him at the end. All right, all of these had 3s. So now let's go look at our next digit. I have a 4, a 3, and a 4. Oop, this is going to be my second smallest number. So out of these two, which one's going to be the biggest, 42 or 43? I agree, 43. So this would be our first number, our second number, our third number, and our fourth number. That's how we would put them in order.